Hello and welcome to Scottish Summit 2021. My name is Elaiza Benitez and I'm joined today by Daniel Laskewitz. We are going to talk about how Teams loves Dataverse for Teams. A quick shout out to our sponsors. Without them, this virtual event would not be possible this year, so thank you very much. A little bit about myself. I am a senior consultant. I am based out in Wellington in New Zealand. You can follow me on Twitter and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So I've worked with the Microsoft stack since 2009. So I started off with Microsoft Dynamics CRM version 4. And along the way, I picked up PowerApps portals and Power Automate and of course now the Power Platform. I'm going to hand it over to Daniel, who's going to introduce himself. Over to you, Daniel.
Thanks, E. Now, let me introduce myself. My name is Daniel Laskewitz and I work at Society. Society is a French company, but I work for the Dutch part of the company in the Netherlands, of course. And what I do there is that I am a Power Platform lead and I get to work a lot with our clients on implementing Power Platform solutions in their company and also making the Power Platform successful within their company. So that's a really cool role. And next to my work, I also love to be really enthusiastic about the Power Platform and talk about all my experiences that I have within my work, for instance, with customers. And I like to share that with the community. So I always do that through videos, for instance, on my YouTube channel, but also when I'm speaking at events like these. So that's really cool. You can always follow me on Twitter. My Twitter tag is @Laskewitz, so you can always follow me there. Or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Daniel Laskewitz. So with that, let's talk about the agenda. Today, we'll start with Meet Dataverse for Teams. We'll give you an introduction around Dataverse for Teams. So we'll talk about what it actually entails. And after that, we'll talk about why Dataverse for Teams. Why is this important? It's really cool that you have all these capabilities, but what's the big difference between Dataverse for Teams now and what we had before? After that, we're gonna show you what we're gonna do during our demos. And after that, we'll do our demos, of course. And at the end of the presentation, we'll wrap up with a Q&A. Let's talk about Dataverse for Teams. So what is Dataverse for Teams?
Hey, that's me.
We have all kinds of products within the Microsoft suite. We have in the Microsoft 365 suite, for instance, Teams. And we also have the Power Platform where we have PowerApps, Power Virtual Agents, Power BI, Power Automate, and also we have Dataverse, which was named CDS, the Common Data Service, before. What Microsoft did is actually they made all these capabilities of the Power Platform, they made that available within Microsoft Teams. There were already some capabilities to include, for instance, a Power App inside of Teams or a Power Virtual Agent inside of Teams or run Power Automate workflows inside of Teams. There's all kinds of capabilities already, but they are integrating that much more closely. So what Microsoft really wants to achieve is that you use Teams as the central hub for everything actually. And within Teams, you can add the Power Apps app, the Power BI app, the Power Automate app, Power Virtual Agents app. And from there, you can start working on your solution. So if you want to build a Power App and you want to include that in your team, for instance, for a certain project or something, you can actually add the Power Apps app to your Teams client, and then you can start working on that Power App. You, of course, have to create your own environment for that team. So whenever you create the Power Apps app in Teams, you always have to link it to a team that you already have. So that's something that you have to be aware of. The big change here is that, for instance, Power Virtual Agents is included inside of your Teams license. So if you have a Teams license in your license, then you can use this all for free. You don't have to pay an extra license. You don't have to worry about the whole premium stuff. You'll get Power Virtual Agents for the bigger part of the product. You'll get that for free. There's also some features that you can't use for free, but you can get started really easily, and there's lots of capabilities already inside of Dataverse for Teams. So yeah, it's really a great capability. Some other thing that is included in Dataverse for Teams, which wasn't included before, is Dataverse itself. So we now have two types of Dataverse. You have Dataverse for Teams, which is kind of a lightweight version. It's an essential subset, as Ryan Cunningham from the PowerApps team says. And that's available for free. And then you also have Dataverse, and Dataverse is the premium version of Dataverse. And that includes a lot more capabilities, but it's also a premium solution. So you need to pay extra for that. But there is a big subset available as Dataverse for Teams, and that's really cool. Let's talk about why Dataverse for Teams is a big deal. Microsoft created Dataverse for Teams because of a couple of reasons. The first reason is to integrate the Power Platform better inside of Microsoft Teams. And there's multiple things that you can see in there. For instance, you have the apps available within Microsoft Teams. You don't have to switch anymore to the PowerApps portal, the Maker portal, for instance, or the Power Automate website, or any of the other Power Platform websites that are out there. So you can easily start creating an app or a chatbot inside of Microsoft Teams. You don't have to switch around anymore. Next to that, you have capabilities inside of Dataverse for Teams that make it easier to work together with Teams. For instance, you have the Microsoft Teams object inside of PowerApps. So what you can do there is easily connect to, for instance, the specifics of a team. So if you want to know the channel name or the team ID and do things with that, you can easily grab that because there is a Microsoft Teams object inside of PowerApps. You can easily select Microsoft Teams .channel .name or something like that, and then you'll have the channel name. So that's another thing that's really interesting. And also one of the things that Microsoft is probably trying to tackle is that a lot of companies actually started building apps and flows and other parts within the Power Platform based on the standard connectors instead of the premium connectors. And that's, for instance, SharePoint, which has SharePoint lists. And while SharePoint lists is a really nice capability, you can do cool stuff with that. Sometimes it's not the right fit for a certain app. And that's why Microsoft actually made it easier for companies to decide to use, for instance, Dataverse for Teams instead of SharePoint lists, because it's now included in their license. They will probably go to Dataverse for Teams more easily, and that way they can still use a relational database, which is probably better than the SharePoint list capabilities for certain scenarios. And they can, if they have a really big need for that, they can also go to the premium version of Dataverse if the Dataverse for Teams capabilities aren't enough for them. So those reasoning is why Microsoft went for Dataverse for Teams. Let's now switch to Elaiza for the explanation of the demos that we're going to do today. So what are we going to do today?
Great, thanks for that, Daniel. So what we're going to be showing you today in this session is, first of all, how to create your Dataverse for Teams environment, followed by me showing you how to create an app from scratch. And then Daniel will show you how to get started with the templates that are available today in Dataverse for Teams. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the demo. But before we do that, I want to make it clear that both Daniel and I will be showing you the Power App side of Dataverse for Teams. You can also create Power Virtual Agent bots. You can also create your own Power BI dashboard, as well as use Power Automate in Dataverse for Teams. But for today's session, we're only going to show you the Power App side of Dataverse for Teams. Okay, I'm going to head over to Microsoft Teams. And I'll first talk about how you can install Power Apps within your Microsoft Teams. So first of all, click on the ellipsis down here in the taskbar or menu bar and select Power Apps. If you don't see it, you can type it in and it will pop up and then you can select it. Now I've already installed this, but for you, when you select Power Apps, it's going to prompt you to install it. And once it has been installed, I recommend pinning this to your menu, and that way if you navigate away from Power Apps, you can easily get back to it in one click. So this is the home landing page. It will show you, first of all, a video how you can create your own custom app, but I'm going to show you how to do that. And then as you scroll down, it's going to show you any apps that you've recently created. And then it will also show you the templates that are available so that you can get started. So this is what Daniel's going to take you through. What I will do next is head over to the Build tab. In the Build tab, it will show you all of the teams that you selected that you would have created an app for. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and create a new app for a different team. So I'm going to go back to the Home tab and I'm going to create an app. And this is where you're going to get prompted, which team do you want to create this app against? I'm going to select Contoso Marketing and click Create. And what it's doing behind the scenes is creating a new environment for Dataverse for Teams. So when you navigate to the Power Platform Center, you'll see this Contoso Marketing as a Dataverse for Teams environment. So I'll check back in once this has created the team environment, and I'll show you how you can create an app from scratch. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, what's happening right now is that it is now loading up the PowerApps Studio Maker. So you can build and customize your app directly within Microsoft Teams. You don't need to exit from here and go to your browser to do so. So again, we'll give this another few minutes and I'll check back in shortly. Okay, so now we can start creating our app from scratch. For today's demo, I'm going to use a use case of timesheet entry. So we're going to create a very simple timesheet entry app. So first of all, they're going to create they're going to want to add a new timesheet entry and associate that to a project that they're working on. So I will call this timesheet entry 3 because I created some previously. And what we'll do next is create a brand new table where the timesheet entry data can live in. So while this is saving, you can automatically see that behind the scenes, oh, now it's loaded, is that it's already automatically created a screen for me. So if I just expand this, we can see that there are different containers. So the right container is what you're seeing at the moment that's highlighted in the studio. So this will show you the details of that particular row that's been selected in the gallery. And then my left container is the gallery. So the gallery is showing me all of the records that have been defined in this gallery view. What we're going to do next is create 2 new tables. The first one will be for the timesheet entry. So we head over to Data and we click on Create New Table. I'm going to call this timesheet entry 3. And what this will do is automatically create a table behind the scenes with some out-of-the-box columns. Name is one of them, and now I can add any new columns that I would like. So the first column that we're going to add is a date column, and this is where we can select the type of column that we want it to be. And then I'm going to create another brand new column called hours. So this will allow the end user to enter in the hours that they worked on for the project. Okay, so now if I click close, this will automatically associate the table to the gallery, which is nice. But as I mentioned, we're going to create an additional table, and that table will be called project. So I'm going to create project. And for this one, we only need a name column. So I'm going to create two projects that we can select in the app. So I'll call this one, let's say Scottish Summit. So we want to select Scottish Summit as a project. And then I can call another one called, let's say, let me just call the other project called Education and Power Platform. I'm just making this up. Okay, so now we have two rows that will be visible in the project table. So what I'll do next is go back to my timesheet entry, and what we're going to do is add a new column that's going to pull through the projects that I had just created. So we're going to select the type of lookup, and we're going to select the related table as project. And I'm also going to drag that project column across. And so this way, now when the person's going to do a timesheet entry, they can go ahead and select that project based on that project table. So let me just try click this again. Okay, here we go. So these are the two projects that I have just created. So I'll select Scottish Summit. We can then enter in a date. So I'll enter in today's date, and then we can also enter in the hours. Hit close, and that will go ahead and automatically create that record for me. So as you can see, we can see the details immediately. And what I want to do next is customize this gallery so that it makes it a better end user experience for that person who's filling in the timesheet entry. So I'll head over to my tree view, and what we'll do is change the view for this gallery. And to do that, you can select a number of views that are available already. But what I want to do is create a brand new view where it will only display timesheet entries where the owner column equals the current user. And that way we don't have to put any, direct filter parameters in the expression in PowerApps itself. We can actually do that within the table that we've just created. So I'm going to go back to the build tab. I'm going to go to Contoso Marketing, and I'm going to go and open up that table of timesheet entry. And what we should see is the ability to create a new view. So if I just expand this, we're already in here, sorry. There's a column here called Views, and I'm going to create a new view called My Timesheet Entries. And one of the nice things about tables in Dataverse is that you can copy a view. So simply you open up an existing view. So this view is active time entries. Now I can click Save As and change this to My Timesheet Entry and hit Save. And that will copy the existing configuration of that view. So what I want to do is actually change this from name to created on, and I want to show from newest to oldest. And what I will also do is add in another column, let's say project, and move that across. And then what I'll do in terms of the filters is add an additional column called owner. And then this way it will only show me timesheet entries where I am the owner. So now I can save this and I can publish it. And then what we can do is reference that back in our app in the gallery. So I'm going to hit the back button, and we're going to open up that app again, and we're going to point that gallery to the view that we've just created. I'll just click override. Okay, so we're back in the app, and I'm going to go back to the tree view and configure this gallery now. So now we can change this to the view that we had just created. And what this will do is now only show me timesheet entries where I'm the owner, and it's going to be referencing that view. So as you can see, we're not putting any additional logic within this expression for this property. The other nice thing that you can do with apps is that you can customize the gallery view the way that you want it. So I'm going to change it to title, subtitle, and body. So now this will get rid of that image and it will only show me, those 3 pieces of information. But since we're already, let me just zoom in. Since we're already only seeing time entries that are relevant to me, I don't necessarily need to see my name, but what would be handy is seeing what project this is associated to. And because we're referencing a lookup, we first need to provide the name of the table and then the name of the column that we're referencing. So in this example, I'm going to type in project. So that is the name of the table. And then the column that we are referencing is the name column. So now if I just type in name, it'll then automatically change it so that we can see the name of the project. So it's no longer showing me. So that's one way of customizing the gallery. What I will show you next is how to customize the edit form. So as part of the experience, when a user enters a new timesheet entry, we're going to pre-populate some fields for them. So we're going to go ahead to that new record form, and this is what it looks like. So we can see that our project field is missing. And if you want to add the project field, you can click on Edit Fields on the right-hand side, select Add Field, and it will show you all the fields that are available in the table for that data source. So it's timesheet entry. And once I select my project, it will go and automatically add that into the app. So you can drag it, and move these around, but I'll just stick to this default layout as is. So we are going to pre-populate 2 fields. The first one is, let's say, the name field. So with the name field, I want to default it to me as the end user. So first of all, we need to go into the properties of this particular data card and select the padlock. And in here, this is where I can define what that value should be. So I'm saying that just show me the email address of the current end user. And then for the date, what I want to do is pre-populate it to today's date. Shout out to April Dunham because I watched one of her awesome PowerApps how-to videos. Subscribe to her YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. She pumps out great content each week for PowerApps. So I learned this from her, and her tip that she shared was check what mode the form is in. So what I'm doing here is referencing the name of our form, which is edit form 1, and then we are going to check what mode it is. So then we can type in mode, and then we can say we want to check that it equals new. So I'll select this one, and if it does, then we can set it to today's date. Otherwise, set it to the default value, and that's that. Now, another thing that you can do is change the format of the date. So if you're like me and you live in New Zealand, we don't go by month, date, year. We go by date, month, year. So another tip is to format your date so that it shows correctly. So I'm just going to do this format, and it will then automatically populate to today's date. I'm just missing a bracket, and there we go. So now you can see that it's formatted to DDD/M/MM/YYYY. So that's how you can automatically pre-populate your fields. Now, the last thing that I want to do as part of making that end user experience better is to update the expression for the save or submit icon, which is this tick icon. So at the moment, if I submit the form, it's just going to show me a blank brand new form. But what I want to do is navigate them back to the gallery. So in here, we can reference the expression of navigate. Sorry, I just needed to remember how to do this. So then I can reference the name of the gallery. So browse gallery 1. And then we can do a screen transition of fade. But this isn't, oh, sorry, should be like that. Oh, nope, this. There we go. Okay, now why is it complaining? 1 second, let me just look at my notes. What have I done wrong? Oh, it's because I have a bracket in here. Okay, does it like that? No, it still doesn't like it. Submit form. Get. Browse gallery 1. Screen transition fade. Oh, there we go. It's a comma. Okay. Yeah, so if you're like me, sometimes you can get some of the bits and pieces in the expression wrong, but that's okay because it's all part of the learning process. If you are ever looking for an expression or how to write a particular expression, go and check the PowerApps community. They have a lot of useful content. That is normally where I go if I get stuck in trying to work out what my expression should be. So in my scenario, you would have seen that I had a missing bracket, didn't have the correct character, but it's all good now. All right, so I'm going to hit save. And then what I'll do is demonstrate what it's going to look like for a user. So now that we've saved it, we can publish it to Teams. And what it will ask us is, okay, which channel in the team do you want to publish it to? So we created this app against the Contoso marketing team, and it will show us the channels that are available. So at the moment I only have general, and if I click on the plus icon, it's now going to add that app as a tab in the channel. So I'm going to hit save and close, and then I'm going to show you what that end user experience will be like for your users within that team who are adding a timesheet entry against that channel. Okay, so I'm going to my browser. I'm logged in as a different user here called Christy, and we're gonna go to my Contoso marketing team and select the general channel. We can see that the timesheet entry app is in there, and it will load the app for the first time for this user, Christy. And when we see the gallery, we shouldn't see any of the timesheet entries that were created by my login, which was as admin. So now if we create a brand new record, we can see that it has automatically defaulted my email because that's what we've defined. And then it's also automatically loaded in today's date in that particular format because, again, that's what we've defined in the app. So now I can enter my hours, and I can also associate it to a particular project. And if I hit the save button, it's now going to take me back to the gallery. If I want to create another one, I can do so, and that will, again, create the timesheet entry. And that's how easy and straightforward it is to create an app from scratch in Dataverse for Teams. You can create your own data source in there by creating tables, and these tables will live in your Dataverse for Teams environment. So I hope you learned some cool things with me today. And if you want to learn more PowerApps content, as I mentioned, subscribe to April Dunham's YouTube channel. But there's also Shane Young in our community. He creates a lot of great content, in particular advanced PowerApps tutorials, so I highly recommend that you check that out. Up next we have Daniel, who will take you through the templates that are available so that you can get started with Dataverse for Teams. Over to you, Daniel.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the templates that are available inside of Dataverse for Teams. So when you open up the PowerApps app within Teams, like I have here, you can actually scroll down a little bit. You can see your recent apps, and then you have the option to add apps to your team. And here you can select, for instance, employee IDs. and then you have the option to add it to a team. And when you select that, you have to select a team, of course, and it will install that app in your team. There's also another way to find this. You can actually close this one down then, and there's the ellipsis here at the side. You can click on it and then select employee IDs, and then you can see the same app. And when you hit that, you can also add it to a team. So it's possible to create it from the PowerApps app in Dataverse for Teams, but also via the ellipsis and then the apps that are available in there. I already created some. So if I go to Teams and I go to my employees IDs team and I have the general channel there, I already have it installed. So when I click employee IDs, I can see that I get a question about some connectors that I have to allow here. So it will take a little while, and then I can click allow. And when this has been done, it will set up the app for the first time. So it has a really nice GIF here, and it keeps on working here. So here you can now say, welcome to employee IDs, and you can select your channel where you want the messages to be posted. This is needed because this app is going to use the channel that you select here to post a message to it. And that means that when somebody creates a new ID, for instance, it will post a message in that channel. In this case, we only have one channel in this environment, in this team. If you have multiple, you can also choose to send it to that different channel. So let's hit let's go. And now I can actually click got it. And then you can see the app. And what's really cool about this app is that it really looks like a Teams native app. And that's of course because of all the controls that you have available in the PowerApps app in Dataverse for Teams. So when I click on one of the campaigns in here, for instance, return to workplace, I can see all the IDs that are available in here. I can vote on them, for instance. I can also submit a new ID. So when I want to add another ID to return to the workplace, I can select that and then type another ID. Let's call it amazing ID for return to the workplace. I can add a description. This is a fantastic description. I'm always so very creative with my creation of these kinds of IDs, of course. So let me just answer some questions in here. What impact will your ID have? Of course, a really high impact. How many employees will be impacted? Of course, all of them. And how much effort will your ID take to implement? It's a perfect ID, so it won't have a lot of effort. I can add some files in here. I can add an image in here, but in this case, I don't want to do that. I can share in the channel. I can select on or off. In this case, I'm going to leave it on. So when I hit submit ID, it will submit that ID. It will add it to that return to workplace campaign. And when I hit return to ID list, you can see that I have an amazing ID for return to the workplace. A fantastic description. And of course, I want to vote on it so that it will have a lot of votes already. So this was the first part. When I go back to posts, you can already see that there was a message already posted to the channel here. And that's of course because we selected the general channel in the first time we run this. When you go back to the app again, you have the same pop-up as I had just now. I can select don't show this again and then got it if I don't want to show it anymore. So this is a really simple app to create campaigns or projects that you have and then include IDs for that campaign. And that's really nice to have. I know a lot of companies that would love to have this app. You can also select the gear icon here, and then you can add some different settings in here, change them around if you want. And that's the first app I wanted to show you. The second app we're going to look at is the issue reporting template. You can see in this theme we have a channel called General, and General has multiple tabs available in this channel. We have the Manage Issues tab here. We have the Issue Reporting tab, which are both a Power App. And we have the Issue Planner tab. And that's something that I needed to add after the installation of the template, because it needs a Planner tab to work better. So let's hit Manage Issues and see the Power App that got created through the template. Normally you would see a configuration step here, and you can then create your Planner tab and hook it up in the settings of this app. In here you can see two tabs, Insights and Issue Templates. Insights is really handy to have when you have seen already a lot of issues in here. It will give you a great oversight or insight into all your issues that you have in this team. Currently we don't have any issues in this team, so it's not really helpful, but after you start using this app, it's really helpful. The next tab is Issue Templates. And when you click on that, you can see all kinds of categories in here. In here you have, for instance, the car, the mobile phone category. You can add your own category and add that as well. And inside these categories you have issue templates. And these issue templates are really handy to have. For instance, when somebody wants to report an issue with a mobile phone, they can select the phone is unresponsive, and then they get a set of questions in that issue template. So for instance, with the phone is unresponsive step, you can edit this one and see all the different questions that are available in this issue template. So here you can also add an extra question if you want. You can reorder the questions in here, and you can of course save them again after you're done editing. There's also the issue reporting tab at the top. When you hit that, you will see the issue reporting app where people can report issues. So you can see the Manage Issues app as an admin app, and the issue reporting app is something for people who are maybe the people who are working on the floor that need to report an issue, for instance. So in here you can click on Report an Issue, and then you can select an issue type here. You can, for instance, select mobile phone, and then select the phone is unresponsive, and then you'll get the questions that are available in that category. You can even assign it to people. So if you want to assign it to someone, you can do that. You can add GPS, and then it will get your location in here. You can add a description. You can add some steps in here. For instance, what was being performed on the phone, Microsoft Teams. What is the make or model of the phone? It's an iPhone. When did the phone become responsive? After I clicked a link. Has this happened before? No. So if I hit submit issue here, I have reported an issue, and I can already return to home, for instance. And then you can also see that there is an issue here, and it is not been started yet. There hasn't been any work on that so far. So when I hit Manage Issues, I can come back to the Insights view, and I can see that I have an issue here. And that's the Insights view that has a lot more value now. So that's also possible. And what's really cool is the integrations that it has. So when you go to the issues plan, you can already see that there has been an issue reported in mobile phone, and that's the one I just created. So it automatically added all the different questions and answers in that planner task. So that's really cool. For the next template, we're gonna look at the inspection template. We have a theme called inspection in here, and we have again the general channel. And in this general channel, we installed the app. We have the manage inspections tab here. We have the inspection tab here, which are both apps. And we have the inspection plan, which is a planner tab. And that's also added in here because you need it for the configuration of the manage inspections app. So let's go to the manage inspections app and see what it's all about. It's gonna load for a little while, and then I'm gonna see the locations in here. So here you can add locations, for instance. Per location you can see which inspections have been done for this location, and of course you can add new locations, you can reorder them, etc. If you click on inspection insights, you can see which inspections are there. There are currently 6 pending review, so that's possible to see here in here. And then there's the inspection forms, where you can add a new inspection form, or you can edit an inspection form that's already there. So that's really cool. Let's move to inspection. And in the inspection app, you can actually do the inspections. So when you are an employee of this company, you can actually use the inspection app to perform an inspection. And when I click on that button, I can select a location, for instance, and in this case, I'm gonna select the backstage food location. I can select the checklist I want to do. So I'm gonna do the morning store walk. And in here, you will see the fact that I have 2 tasks open here. So 2 items on the checklist are open. When I hit clean and hygienic, I can see the whole inspection list in here. And it will give me a picture of what I need to look at. And I can select OK, issue, or not applicable. I can even add a photo, a note, or a task in here. In this case, I am gonna select OK. And for the second one, I'm gonna select OK as well. And I'm gonna review the inspection. It gives me the option to see if all the tasks are complete. So in here, I can see if I fulfilled all the checks on the checklist, and I can submit the inspection. It's gonna take a little while to submit it, and then I get a message that my inspection has been submitted. I can go to home and do another inspection if I want, or I can see all my different inspection tasks that I have. In this case, I don't have any. So let's move back to the Manage Inspections app. And here I can see if the inspections have been created. Here you can see now I have 4 instead of 3. And if I go to the Inspections Insights, I can see that I have 7 pending review instead of 6. So that's also possible in here. And when I hit the locations again, I can select my last task that I filled in. There were no issues in here, so I can, for instance, change this to close if I want. So now this has been closed, the review, so that's good. And that way you can also see that it changed here to closed. So that's really nice functionality. With that, we are at the end of this session. Thanks a lot for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us through the chat, through LinkedIn or Twitter. And we hope to see you soon. Bye bye.